This week at the sideline of Farmers Cooperatives Professionalization Program running event organized by the USAID's private sector-driven agricultural growth project, we caught up with the project chief of party, and here are our conversation.
We start by introducing yourself to us and we go on with other questions.
Okay, my name is Melanie Bittel and I'm the chief of party for the USAID funded private sector driven agricultural growth project.
So you can start by telling us what was going on here.
So over the past year and a half, the PSDAG project has been piloting a program called Cooperative Professionalization. And under this program, we were trying to address several complaints and constraints that we had received both from the supply side in agriculture as well as the demand side. And this was that we really wanted to help professionalize the cooperatives to be able to commercially conduct their business and to be able to sell to commercial buyers. So the program consisted of various components. We did an initial assessment of the cooperatives we were going to support to find out what their specific needs were. And each cooperative had very different needs, but generally around the same areas. So we provided support in building their capacity and improving their governance of the cooperative, also their management and financial management of the cooperative to be in line with standard international best practices. We also helped them with quality management systems. This is where we help them with post-harvest handling techniques. Some cooperatives we were able to support and cost share on upgrading equipment that they would use in post-harvest handling, such as drying equipment, various equipment for aggregation, to ensure that they could improve the quality of the produce that they're supplying to their buyers. And then finally, we also helped some of the cooperatives digitize their transactions. We cost shared IT equipment with them so that they could gather information digitally on tablets and then download that data onto computers, analyze that data, and then be able to present that data to their members and their partners, including financial institutions and their buyers, on how their cooperative did during that season. This would include amounts that were sold, at which prices, at which time during the season, which members were able to make profit, which were not able to make profit, and why. And then that is shared in what's called a seasonal debrief. So this was a package that we were providing to the cooperatives to see what worked, what didn't work, and this today was just the culmination of that. What we want to do is be able to share that information with our partners as well as with the cooperatives. We know that there is a big push in the country to get more people, more farmers to formalize their transactions and to be able to sell commercially. So we wanted to share our experiences, our lessons learned, as well as our sustainability plan for the project.
We have heard that PSDAG is about to end. Mm-hmm. What were key challenges and how have you managed to solve them? And you will take to us to some key achievement.
So, there's many challenges and how we address them. So we had some implementation challenges, just being able to get information to the cooperatives. There's a lot of farmers out there, and so how do you get this information to them in a very efficient manner? We started out in this program, we did a training program. It was a 3-day training for each topic, and we invited 10 members of each cooperative out to do that. So logistically speaking, that was very complicated. It was very expensive, and ultimately what really is going to work is having someone there to coach the people on the cooperative, coach the members and to coach the leadership. So our program did include coaching, but I think one of the lessons learned is that perhaps you spend less time actually conducting the training and more time and energy actually doing one-on-one training and just somehow providing awareness of the activities amongst the members. So I think that was probably one of the bigger challenges. And I think sustainability of these will be something that we're still going to have to see how it works and how it finalizes. We are working with the National Confederation of Cooperatives in Rwanda, and we are partnering with them so that they will be taking over this digitization program and helping them figure out how they might be able to scale up and expand to provide this type of service to additional cooperatives. But I think, making something like this sustainable where you don't need donor funding is still going to be a big question in the near future. You may still need a lot of donor funding, and until the cooperatives are able to really kind of build up their skills and their capacity over the years and build their own income and revenues to be able to sustain these types of things themselves. But right now, as we're seeing, there's a lot of donors on the ground, so there's a lot of donors that are offering these services to the cooperatives without them having to pay for them. So until the cooperatives can actually be independent and making profit on their own, you're still going to have a big need for people to jump in and to assist them, as well as other associations like NCCR, and to implement these types of projects.
About achievements?
Yeah, so I think the biggest achievement is actually, this was a pilot, a proof of concept to see if the farmers and the cooperatives could use technology and use data. We're talking about using tablet systems and connecting to the internet and downloading information into Excel, and then once it gets into Excel, they need to analyze it. So this means using advanced features in Excel, like making graphs and pivot tables, and then taking that information and putting it into a PowerPoint, right? So what we've been able to prove from this is that, yes, that's possible, and they can do that. We use very simple data, very simple techniques to do this, but it's very possible. And so I think that's probably the biggest success coming away from this. But I think since we only were able to kind of get this started and pilot in 1 year, I think the success of this is going to be forthcoming in the next couple of years. As these cooperatives start to actually put in practice the things that we taught them, put in practice the different rules and regulations and policies and manuals that we gave to them and we taught them how to use. I think it'll be the next couple of years before you start to see more successes from that. But the biggest one is actually seeing them conduct those seasonal debriefs, seeing how happy the buyers and the financial institutions were that the cooperatives were formalizing how they conduct their business and recording things. That's been the biggest success from this project.
Thank you very much.